Group G. For our leadership project, we picked Bill Gates. Our group members are Star, Hong, Leanne, Maggie, Daniela, and Chanel. We will be discussing his background, company, leadership styles, emotional intelligence, and whether he was an effective leader or not. First, we have Star discussing Bill Gates' background.
Bill Gates was born in Seattle, Washington in 1955. He grew up in a loving home and family and had 2 sisters. His father was an attorney and his mother was a school teacher. In 1967, Gates used a computer for the first time at Lakeside School. Then, in 1973, he was enrolled in Harvard University, where he would eventually drop out and start Microsoft. Bill had a lot of success with his company, including the launch of Windows 1.0 and the creation and release of the original Xbox. In 2000, Bill and his wife established the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, where they helped thousands of people afford college. In 2002, their foundation delivered tens of thousands of computers to schools across all 50 states. Then, in 2008, Gates decided to leave his daily grind job at Microsoft and then would eventually step down from his chairman position and just hold a spot on the board. In 2013, Bill and the foundation made an effort of about $5.5 billion to eliminate polio by 2018. This led to India becoming polio-free. Then in 2017, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation was dedicated to helping African and Asian farmers survive the fight against climate change and gave $300 million to help. Finally, in 2020, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Bill and Melinda gave $1.75 billion towards the global response to the pandemic. Next, we have Chanel explaining the company that Bill Gates leads.
Microsoft is a global technology company founded by Bill Gates and Paul Allen on April 4th, 1975 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Initially, the company focused on developing software for personal computers, and its first big success came from the development of DOS, an operating system that was used by IBM's first personal computer. Later, the company launched Windows, an operating system that became very popular and propelled Microsoft to become one of the most valuable companies in the world. Microsoft has its headquarters in Redmond, Washington, and currently employs over 181,000 people globally. The company has continued to develop new versions of Windows, such as Windows 95, Windows XP, and Windows 10, and has expanded into other areas such as gaming and mobile phones. Xbox, a video game console, was launched in 2001 and became very popular. And the following year, Xbox Live, an online gaming service, was introduced. In addition, Microsoft entered the mobile phone market with its Windows Mobile operating system, which was used by various smartphone manufacturers. Microsoft has also moved into cloud computing with its Windows Azure platform, which enables consumers to build computing infrastructure in the cloud and offer it to their users. Today, Microsoft is one of the world's largest, most valuable companies with operations in over 190 countries. The company continues to innovate and explore new areas of technology, solidifying its position as a leader in the tech industry.
What were Bill Gates' leadership styles? Let's first start by defining leadership. Dubin defines leadership as the ability to inspire confidence and support among the people who are needed to achieve organizational goals. Effective leaders may switch between different leadership styles and overall approaches. Different situations and people call for different leadership styles. Some of the leadership styles used by Gates were autocratic, entrepreneurial, participative, or democratic, and transformational. One of Bill Gates' leadership styles was autocratic. An autocratic leader tends to retain most of the authority. Some characteristics are controlling, directive, and strong. Early days of Microsoft, Gates had a vision and wanted to ensure it was executed. Gates was known to be a rigid boss who promoted creativity. Gates was also known to interrupt, challenge, and question employee ideas during meetings. Gates was also known to be an entrepreneurial leader. Entrepreneurial leadership is a person who founds and operates as an innovative business. Gates was known for being innovative and risk-taking. This showcased in him dropping out of college and starting Microsoft during a time when computers and internet weren't even in homes yet. Turned Microsoft into a very successful company with many successful products. He was also a democratic leader. Democratic leaders confer final authority on the group. He believed that involving others in decision-making and open communication helped a successful company. An example of his democratic leadership style was showcased in a memo he wrote called The Internet Tidal Wave. In 1995, he wrote a memo to executives and employees emphasizing the importance of the internet for the future. He wanted to keep this in mind while building products and making decisions for services. He did not dictate or force products he believed would be successful onto his employees. He wanted them to buy in. Here's a quote showcasing his leadership style in terms of democratic leadership style. Leaders need to provide strategy and direction to give employees tools that enable them to gather information and insight from around the world. Leaders shouldn't try to make every decision. Gates was also a transformational leader. Transformational leaders is one who brings about positive major change in an organization. He empowered and motivated employees. He had a vision-oriented. Example of this is that employees are company's shareholders. This promotes innovation, empowerment, and motivation. He also cares for people by doing philanthropic work. He has a foundation called the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Next, we have Danielle and Leanne discussing emotional intelligence.
The first dimension of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. In a 2019 Reddit AMA session, Gates emphasized that if he could go back in time, he would strengthen his self-awareness and interpersonal skills. Being self-aware means measuring your moods and understanding how they affect those around you. In the early days of Microsoft, Bill Gates was known as a critical and sarcastic boss who led in a hostile and intense work environment. He was known to be harsh and stubborn. However, as he has gotten older, he understands that his leadership style has helped some employees become successful, but he is also aware that he might have been over the top. He recognizes that a leader's moods and actions affect others and has since transformed his leadership habits. He learned when it is appropriate to push his team to work harder and when to ease up on them. Creating this balance has allowed Bill Gates to exert the right amount of pressure on his employees and to motivate them. Although harsh, his vision included his employees doing their best for the company, and because they wanted his approval, they worked hard and delivered. He was harsh initially, but many of his employees enjoyed working for him as they appreciated his constructive criticism, pushing them to work harder. The second dimension is self-management. A leader who self-manages is a leader who can control their emotions and act accordingly. In the early stages of his company, Bill Gates was known to thrive on conflict and have a temper. In heated arguments, he would put down his employees with harsh words about their work or their ideas. However, as the company grew, he realized he had to loosen up and not get overly emotional over work. Eventually, Bill Gates admitted that he could be just as effective in giving constructive feedback by being vocal and persuasive and does not have to yell or drop bad words to get his point across. In an interview with his wife, he said that he now understands that he must make his team feel like they are partners and allow them to explore their ideas without needing to control every detail or make them feel bad about a mistake. One of the biggest lessons he learned was to respect his team members and make them feel valued. He once felt the need to point fingers and would wait for the perfect moment to yell at his employees for their mistakes. Eventually, he realized that when a mistake is made, it doesn't matter who did what wrong, but how they can move forward and improve. By implementing this now, Bill Gates has learned to self-manage his emotions and adapt to each situation without throwing a tantrum.
The third dimension of emotional intelligence is social awareness. Bill Gates has always had a philanthropic heart. As previously mentioned, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation was established in 2000 by merging the two Gates Foundations, the William H. Gates Foundation and the Gates Library Foundation. Its original priorities were global health, education, libraries, and the Pacific Northwest. In 2006, the foundation reorganized to comprise global development, global health, and United States divisions. A global policy and development division was added in 2012. In July 2008, Bill Gates stepped down from his position at Microsoft to devote his efforts full-time to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The Global Development Division strives to eliminate extreme poverty and hunger. The United States Division is dedicated to reducing inequities and increasing opportunities for the country's low-income, minority, and vulnerable populations. Both the Global Development and Global Health Divisions work to address high mortality and morbidity rates from preventable diseases in developing countries. The Global Health Division also supports projects that advance health research and technologies in the developing world. The fourth and final dimension of emotional intelligence is relationship management. Bill Gates' transformational leadership skills were the basis of his relationship management. Through these skills, he aligned employee interests with organizational interests and promoted employee empowerment, innovation, and vision results orientation. Gates also made his concern for people's welfare known. Aligning employees' self-interests with the organization's interests is one of Bill Gates' many skills and talents. During his time as Microsoft CEO, Bill Gates aligned employees' interests with corporate goals by providing generally reasonable share options for employees. Owning a share in the company increased the rate employees worked to reach the organization's goals. He further held meetings regularly with team leads to assess the organization's progress. Lastly, Maggie will now explain why Bill Gates is an effective leader.
There are many reasons why Bill Gates is an effective leader, one being that he is a self-aware leader. He is aware of his limitations and knows that the way he presents his mood can create emotional contagion. An example of how he demonstrates his self-awareness is explained in a source from Global Hughes. Gates was aware that his communication skills were not the greatest and decided to better his skills by learning. He demonstrated that he was aware of his limitations and that his communication might affect not only the way he leads the team at Microsoft, but the way the rest of the world views him as the leader of Microsoft. Another reason Gates is an effective leader is that his leadership style is autocratic. One benefit of this type of leadership is that there is a structure with the organization, meaning that there are clear responsibilities for each job role and clear goals where one can thrive. A second benefit of having an autocratic leadership style is that productivity can improve because the leader is aware of what goes on in the organization and can reestablish time that is being wasted and redirect people to the explicit goals that are being implemented. Bill Gates is a goal-driven leader, which is why he is categorized as an autocratic leader. Former CEO of Microsoft, Steve Ballmer, gives us an example quote of how he is an autocratic leader. Control is basic to Gates' nature and his management practice. He has an obsession with detail and with checking up. One final reason Bill Gates is an effective leader is that he has proven relationship management skills because he has created a work environment where his employees can grow. In addition, Gates was able to influence his team through his hard-working attitude, in turn creating trust. Overall, Bill Gates has exemplified his effective leadership through his self-awareness, relationship management skills, and autocratic leadership style, all contributing to his success and now and in the future. Lastly, I have a quote from Bill Gates that demonstrates his leadership. As we look ahead into the next century, leaders will be those who empower others. Bill Gates.